Hey everybody, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be painting some pumpkins. Yay, show them your pumpkin.
Look.
What does it say on it?
And about
Noah.
Noah.
Yeah, good job. Okay, so to start, I'm just gonna go through my materials. I have my B watercolor paper today. I have my Winsor & Newton Professional watercolors in my palette, my Princeton snap brushes in a size 6 and a size 2 round. I also have my pencil and an eraser, and I think we're good to go. Okay, so we are gonna paint some like decor pumpkins. So they're not gonna be like traditional orange pumpkins. We're gonna pick a fun, like nice muted color palette and just kind of go with it. So the thing I want to do first is actually draw out my pumpkins. I did this with another pumpkin tutorial, but I'm just going to try and explain it quickly how I draw my pumpkins. So I start off with long oval shapes. So let's do one oval shape. And the great thing about pumpkins is that they don't have to be perfect, right? So if you have a bit of a shaky hand, don't even worry about it. So we have this long oval shape, and then you're just gonna kind of work off of that oval shape doing C curves. Okay, they can be taller at the top, smaller, lumpy, not lumpy, whatever you want. And we're just kind of going above the last C curve and then kind of coming up above here, the bottom of it. Okay, and try to do it light so we have room to erase, not room to erase, but you know what I mean, just it's easier to erase. So there we go, and then we have this kind of like opening here, and we can do our little stem like that, okay? And then we can do some in the front too, so we can draw in front of it. So I say let's do a smaller one here. We're just gonna put it down a little bit lower so it's like it's in front. And again, long kind of oval shape. It can be kind of lumpy. And you're just going to work on those C curves coming around like that, and then do your little stem like that, okay? And then we are going to do another one over here. Let's change it up a bit. Let's do it a bit more rounded. It can be a bit taller. Sorry, I don't know where I was going with that one. Yeah. Like that. Okay, and then maybe another small one down here. You can have it even on an angle, like it's kind of being propped up by this one. One of those small little no, I don't want that. I want it a little bit bigger. Okay. Like that. Yeah, it's kind of being propped up on this one. And then maybe one behind here. And we're just going to do the behind this pumpkin here. I want those sections a little fatter. Like that. And there we go. There we have our outlines of our pumpkins. And now you just want to make sure you erase any lines that overlap. So decide which pumpkins are in front, which are behind. So this one is in front, so I'm gonna make sure I erase those lines that are behind the big pumpkin. This one is gonna be also in front. So I'm just gonna erase, which ones am I erasing? No, erase this big pumpkin line. And then you just wanna kind of take up any dark lines. I'm just twisting my eraser on it so I'm not rubbing it too much, so you could see it. You want to just see really, really light lines, so you won't see it through the watercolor. Okay, so now that the outline is all done, let's pick our color palette. So I just have a scrap piece of paper here, and I think I want to go with a nice dark kind of purpley green. So I'm going to grab some Hooker's Green Dark and Dioxazine Purple, so like this grayish kind of green. Let's see. Maybe a little bit of turquoise in there too, just like a bluish green. Okay, so there's one color. And then maybe like a lighter peach. So I'm gonna grab a little bit of yellow ochre and a little bit of permanent rose. And I might do this like light kind of salmon-y color. And then I'm gonna do a white pumpkin. So I'm just gonna grab a little bit of gray here just to kind of throw it next to it. There's a little bit of gray with it mixed with like a tiny bit of brown, like that. And then I think I wanna do like a deep reddish purple pumpkin, which would be fun. A bit more red in there. So I'm mixing Dioxazine Purple and cadmium red deep is what I'm trying to say, to get this nice kind of cranberry color. Okay, so I might have like 2 white pumpkins and then that. So there's our color palette. So I think I'm gonna make the tallest one the peach color. Peach, green, white, red. I don't know. Let's see. Okay, so let's start with our peach color. I'm just gonna grab a bit more pink, a little bit more yellow. I might even add a tad bit of green just to rust it up a bit. And I'm gonna cover the whole pumpkin with this color. I'm gonna try and make it a little bit lighter, water it down a bit more. Okay, so now that we have this light wash all over the pumpkin, we're gonna go back in with a bit more pigment, and we're just gonna go around those sections that we did, dropping some of that darker pigment into the grooves of the pumpkin. And behind this pumpkin over here. Let's grab a bit more color, a bit more green. So make it a little bit darker at the top and at the bottom, especially. Like so. Okay, so there's your first pumpkin, and then we're gonna do the pumpkins that are not touching these ones. Okay, so I want to do, I think that one was gonna be green, and that one's gonna be red. So let's do this cranberry color one. So grab your cranberry color, and we're gonna try and go behind this pumpkin here. We're gonna start off with a light wash over the whole thing. Going around the pumpkin that's in front of it as best as you can. like so, and then grab more color, grab a bit more purple, a bit more red, a bit of green to mute it. And I'm going to go around those sections again. Now this is pretty dark, so I'm going to blend it out, but I'm just going to throw in that dark color first. See how that's really, really dark? I'm just going to wash off my brush, dry it, and then I'm going to blend out those lines a bit better. Try to make sure there's not too much water on your brush so it doesn't push all the paint away. Just blend out those lines a bit better. And then I'm also going to just add some darkness behind this pumpkin because it would be casting a bit of a shadow. So you can add more color towards the bottom. Like so. Okay, like that. Okay, now let's do this little white pumpkin right here. So we're just gonna grab this. So I had some black in here and there was even a little bit of like, I think maybe yellow ochre or burnt umber. And you're just gonna make the lightest wash possible. So it's a bit of like a grayish color. And you're just gonna go, actually for this one, you don't wanna cover the whole thing. You wanna leave some white space. Like that. And then you can go in with a bit more pigment, maybe a bit of burnt umber, especially at the top and the bottom of the pumpkin. So it's kind of like this grayish white pumpkin, excuse me. Like that. Like that. And just add a little bit of darker gray at the top and the bottom. And then we'll do a bit more detail on it after. But there you go. Okay, so let's wait for those to dry and then we will do the other two. Okay, so let's do this green pumpkin here. So grab a bit more green, a bit more dioxazine purple. It's a bit more on the green side, so let's wash some of that off. And we're gonna go over our whole pumpkin with this lighter wash. And you can totally do a different color palette too with this. You can just type into Pinterest or Google fall color palettes and just do pumpkins of all different colors. Have fun with it. Because obviously these are not traditional pumpkin colors. You don't really find too many purple, like cranberry colored pumpkins, but do whatever you like, right? Okay, so we're covering it with our light wash. Like that. I'm gonna go back in with some more color. Again, around those sections. And then just adding some darkness to the top and the bottom. And actually I'm going to wash off my brush, dry it. I'm going to lift up some color right here. Actually, you can even just take a bit of clean water and just put it there and it will push some of the paint away. And that can create a little bit of a highlight. Okay, I'm going to grab a bit more. Just move it in just a little bit, like that. Okay, and then we're gonna do our last pumpkin, which is a white one again. So we're just gonna take that same kind of little bit of gray, a little bit of brown, really water it down. Oops. And I'm just gonna go around messily. It's kind of on the purpley side because my water is dirty. Okay, actually I have some other dirty water here right now that I'll use instead. I'm just gonna go around it. This one has kind of a purpley tint to it. Add a little bit of burnt umber in there. And just go around really, really light. As you can see, I'm leaving some white space in there, and those will act like highlights. Grab a bit more brown, maybe a little bit more black, like the tiniest bit, and we're just gonna go around the bottom here, making it a little bit darker, and around the top. Like so. Okay, and then for the dry pumpkins, we can do their stems. So I'm just gonna grab some burnt umber. So we'll start off with a light brown. Just kind of filling in that space. Like that. Then I'm gonna grab some sepia, which is just a really dark brown, or you can grab black and mix it with your burnt umber. Then I'm just gonna add in some darkness to those stems. Okay, and then the next step that we're gonna do is we're gonna add a little bit more detail to our already dried pumpkin. So this orange one right here, I'm gonna grab same kind of color, maybe a bit more burnt umber. And I'm just gonna go over some of the lines to define it a bit, and then I'm just gonna shade close to the top, kind of messily, and the bottom. You can even take your dry brush, go like that, add a little bit of texture that way. Okay, I'm just adding a bit of color to some of those sections, and then just kind of blending it out. You can grab a bit more burnt umber just to make it a bit darker, especially at the bottom. Like that. At the top, make it a bit darker. And then I'm gonna take a little bit of that sepia, the really dark brown, and then have that kind of running into the stem over the lines, and you can add that as a little bit of darkness too, to the bottom and the top. Just taking a little bit of that darkness from the stem, just kind of having it run into the lines a bit. Wash off my brush, blend it out a bit. Wash off your brush, just keep blending it out. Like that, and it just kind of makes it look a bit more rugged, I don't know. Not rugged, but you know what I mean. Okay, let's do that to this guy now. Grab a bit more of that color, excuse me. I'm just gonna sharpen up around the bottom and the top. Wash off my brush. Then blend it out a bit. Might even add a little bit of green to it, and that will just kind of neutralize it a bit more. And just shading. Like so. Not too much to that one. I'm gonna grab a bit more of the sepia, dark brown. Just go along the stem. and into some of those lines like that. Okay, and then let's do this tiny one. I got that sepia here for the stem, and then I'm just gonna very gently go over the tops and the bottoms of those sections. We don't need to do too much to this one. A little bit of shading. Wash off your brush, blend it out. Yeah, not a whole lot on that one. Okay, let's wait for these guys to dry and then we will continue with the last two pumpkins. Okay, our green pumpkin, same kind of thing again. Just going over some of those lines, making it a bit sharper at the top and the bottom. Adding a bit more shadow. Like that. Okay, and then this one here, same kind of thing, a little bit of brown in there. It just adds a little bit of texture when we add this kind of messy shading, which I like the look of it. It doesn't make it look so flat like that. And then I'm gonna grab our burnt umber for our stems. Like that, grab our darker brown. Like that, and if you want, bit more darker brown towards the bottom and the top sections like that. And even the same for the green pumpkin. Like that. Okay. And then we can even add a little bit of shadow underneath these pumpkins. So I'm just gonna grab a really, really light wash of gray. And I'm just gonna go underneath the pumpkins like that. Just add a little bit of shadow like they're sitting on the ground or something. Okay, so it's really, really light. And then we'll go back in and add a bit more darkness. So I'm just kind of running my brush. I like this dry brush effect, how it doesn't paint the whole area. It just kind of leaves little white spaces. Okay, so now we're gonna go in with a bit more pigment and we're just gonna tap underneath where the pumpkins would be casting a bit of a shadow. Oops. Like that. Totally up to you if you want to do that step. You don't have to. There you go. Okay, and there you go. So once it's all dry, something I do like to do sometimes is I will take a really thin fine liner and I'll just add a bit more detail to some of these pumpkins. Just adding a bit more texture on the stem, kind of going around some of those sections like this. And I'll show you what it looks like when it's done. And there you go. There are your pumpkins.
What's on your pajamas?
Halloween.
Halloween, but what are those?
Ah,
Bats. Are they spooky? thank you all so much for watching my video. I really hope you liked it and I hope you learned something. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel and follow me on Instagram and Facebook for even more. Have a great day, guys.
Bye.
Bye.